Hey there, folks. Most spiffy dude on YouTube here. Hope you're all having an absolutely fantastical day. Today we're going to talk about a grand schism in the feminist movement that appears to break it into two screeching halves. Time to hit you with some history knowledge. The suffragette movement in the 1920s, where women wanted the right to vote, eventually led to women in the workforce movement in the 1950s, thanks in large part to the majority of the men in the country going off to fight and die against the Nazi menace, right? So these women were making an effort to both have a political voice and then improve their autonomy by pushing for equality of opportunity, right? And that's good. Equality of opportunity is always good. And nowadays you have women who can do pretty much whatever they want. So that is what that led to in the modern day. However, during the push into the 1960s, the advent of an effective birth control method combined with the free love movement caused a rift in the feminist movement. And the bottom line of this, the purpose for this rift was that people were fucking a lot more in the 60s. So those women who fought for women's rights but supported more free and open sexual expression for women were the sex positive feminists. But since women were now able to fuck a lot more people than they could in the past, because, fewer crotch goblins. Now, some people don't particularly like it when people fuck a lot of people. It's a morality thing. Some people especially don't like it when women fuck a lot of people, which is a double standard thing. And some people think it's bad for women overall, as a class, if other women use their sexuality, their body, or their attractiveness for any reason. And these would be your sex-negative feminists. Recently, we've seen this effect in the world of Formula One racing, where for the better part of 30 years, women have held positions as the, quote, grid girls. And for those of you who don't know, grid girls were effectively professional models who escorted drivers, worked for the teams, promoted the sport, basically. They were effectively cheerleaders of Formula One racing. Now, you might be saying, hey, fuckhead, why you talk about all this bullshit in the past tense? Well, that's because they all recently just got shit canned. All these grid girls just got fired from their jobs. Formula One announced on January 31st of 2018, quote, Formula One will end the long-standing practice of using walk-on grid girls, commencing with the start of the 2018 FIA Formula One World Championship season. These changes also apply to our other motorsports series that take place during the Grand Prix weekends. Formula One considers the time spent by teams and drivers on the grid before a race as one of celebration, where guests and various performers can add to the glamour and spectacle of the Grand Prix, enabling promoters and partners to showcase their countries and products. Over the last year, we've looked at a number of areas which we felt needed updating so as to be more in tune with our vision for this great sport, said Sean Bratches, Managing Director, Commercial Operations Formula One. While the practice of employing grid girls has been a staple of Formula One Grand Prix for decades, we feel this custom does not resonate with our brand values and clearly is at odds with modern-day societal norms. We don't believe the practice is appropriate or relevant to Formula One and its fans, old and new, across the world. The new Formula One season begins on March 25th with the 2018 Formula One Rolex Australian Grand Prix in Melbourne. End quote. Now, it seems to me that this message is basically saying overall that it's not socially acceptable to employ women in this way anymore. In a basic way, that's what it seems to be saying to me. The grid girls, being basically cheerleaders, would effectively dress up and get pretty to go out and promote the sport on race day. And sometimes you see them in incredibly classy outfits, or outfits that represent the races or the racer's home country. And other times the outfits are a bit more titillating and, pretty much sexually fucking awesome. But Formula One's decision seems to follow a similar drop of the guillotine on the walk-on girls of competitive darts championships. And these girls escorted the players to and from the competition and otherwise promoted the sport. And yes, it's a thing. Competitive darts, right? But I mean, seriously, look at these sad, hapless bastards. Right? The presence of the walk-on girls just improve these scenes, right? But sadly, they all got fired. Like, this was no choice of theirs. The company just basically said, we're going to be more PC. These women are basically just here to look pretty. We're not going to employ them anymore. And in so doing, there was a shit ton of backlash against it. And some people had a great deal to say, both in support of and against the move. And that's where you kind of get the sex positive versus sex negative versus people who really just don't give a fuck about these ideological movements at all. The writer Jenny Gow at ESPN firmly supported the move. And I'm not going to go over the whole article, but I did find two passages that I found particularly interesting. First, she wrote, quote, that there are many people who say these girls choose to become grid girls, and we shouldn't take away their ability to earn money and have a job that exposes them to a lifestyle that otherwise they might not be able to have. Sure, I get that, but I also believe we are in an important moment in gender equality. Women are not here just to be seen. We are here to be seen and heard, and for me, that is the most important part of the promo girl debate. We fought to be able to vote, to be able to work, to be able to speak freely. So let's use that freedom to better the chances of future generations of girls and women. End quote. Now, to me, the only sentence that should matter in this entire paragraph should be the first half of the first sentence. Quote, there are many people who say these girls choose to become grid girls, and we shouldn't take away their ability to do any well they damn well fucking please. You literally just said we fought to be able to vote, to be able to work, and to be able to speak freely. But, I mean, I guess that stops when it stops fitting your own personal version of morality. You know, otherwise you look at these women and you say, fuck your freedom. You must conform to my personal moral values. And this is why some people call the ideology regressive. You're regressing to a time where you're basically telling women what is good for them, what roles they should and shouldn't be allowed to take, and then crying, it's for your own good, think of the children, oh my God. Then you can move on in this article, and the regressive part of this attitude is abundantly clear. When Gow writes, quote, if we want to attract more families to watch F1, what sort of a message do grid girls send out? Really? I still find it difficult to think why anyone, male or female, would want to be a grid girl or boy. Yes, you get to stand on a grid when the race is getting ready to go, and for many it's a way of meeting a future husband or boyfriend. But if you really want to be involved, why not aspire to more? Become an engineer, learn to be a PR exec, take guests on tours of the paddock. I just don't see the attraction of being just a pretty girl on the grid. End quote. Way of meeting a future husband. Just being a pretty girl on the grid. Get a real fucking job. Holy shit. Fucking. Ha ha ha, pretty girls are just useless and just looking for a husband. I mean, you must think so little of these fucking women that you have literally relegated them back to the 1800s. Congratulations, woman. You are now a dyed-in-the-wool fucking sexist. I mean, if you don't think it takes a significant amount of work in both the gym and the makeup chair to look that goddamn fabulous at an outdoors racetrack, you're fucking delusional. I mean, I would highly encourage everybody listening right now to go read this article and just feel the tone of it. This author clearly seems to have a significant amount of disdain towards these women for being attractive and appears completely apathetic to their plight in an intensely selfish way. Alright, fuck you, sexist. Let's hear from some of the grid girls themselves. The Washington Post also put out an article on this. It was a bit more neutral, and they did a couple interviews. Former grid girl Rebecca Cooper tweeted out, quote, ridiculous that women who say they are, quote, fighting for women's rights are saying what others should and shouldn't do, stopping us from doing a job we love and are proud to do. PC gone mad. End quote. Well, Rebecca, I guess if I got fired because of other people's moral ideology, I'd be pretty fucking pissed off too. Charlotte Gash, a former grid girl, stated, quote, it's upsetting, and I'm rather disgusted that F1 have given in to the minority to be politically correct. I'm one of the lucky ones that I don't rely on this as a main source of income, but there are girls out there who do. I know the grid girls are there to look pretty when they're out on the grid, but my role was interacting with the crowd, and we were there as an advertisement for the sponsors. We love doing it, and we don't want it taken away from us. End quote. Well, I mean, I guess I'm sorry, Charlotte. Other people's communist view of the world says you should go out and get a real fucking job. Fuck your happiness and your source of income. You know, I mean, what's next? Ring girls in boxing? I mean, they serve a similar function in that sport. Just kind of be fine as hell and draw attention. What about UFC? They have the Octagon girls who escort the fighters and promote at the venues. I mean, these women are also paid for basically being hot. What about professional cheerleaders in the NFL or the NBA? You know, they kind of do the same thing, right? Not exactly competitive cheerleaders, they just promote the sport. And what about fields unrelated to sports, like exotic dancers or Hooters waitresses? You know, they get hired for their looks. Are we going to do away with all these things? Is this what's coming next? I mean, where does it... Wait. What the fuck is that? We strongly encourage sports such as cycling, boxing, and UFC to follow darts and Formula One and reconsider the use of podium girls, ring girls, and octagon girls, said the Women's Sport Trust. This is not a matter of feminists versus models, which seems to be the way many people want to portray this story. These changes are taking place because global businesses are making a considered choice about how women should be valued and portrayed in their sports in 2018, and they deserve significant credit for doing so. God damn it. What the absolute fuck? I mean, you're right. It's not about feminists versus models. It's about a small group of fucking radical ideologues telling the larger masses about how to behave for their own good. You are the ones devaluing these individual women. You're telling them that their position is unimportant and that they should have no say for some nebulous greater good. I mean, fuck me. Like, next you'll be telling me that fucking, sex robots reinforce the patriarchy or some stupid shit like that. I mean, as if it's wrong to objectify a literal sex object. I mean, that seems pretty ridiculous to me. It just, what the fuck is this? No, not again. Jesus. The human race is fucking doomed. I mean, what the fuck, man? Like, what kind of world do we live in where a motherfucker can't even fuck a robot without being considered a hemorrhoid in the asshole of society? Really? Like, okay. What's the next step? Celebrities and other types of professional models? I mean, pretty people have been selling this shit since fucking forever. I mean, let's just pick something. Like, look at these magazine covers. Would you be more or less likely to buy one of these magazines if the people on the covers were hideous? Or even further than that, if no people were on them at all? And don't worry, for my ladies and my non-hetero friendos out there, I got you. Women aren't the only ones who use their attractiveness in advertising. Right? I mean, damn. Look at these beautiful specimens of man flesh. Bottom line, fuck it. Time to go to school. Beautiful people sell shit to consumers, and there's a metric fuck ton of research to support this. Chaiken in 1979 found a link between attractive models and advertising and consumer attitudes toward communicators and one-on-one sales. Caballero and Solomon, 1983, found support for higher sales of products with attractive models in them. Caballero and Solomon, 1984, found the attractive models correlate to increased sales of product at point-of-purchase displays, like the Rex at your checkout line. Caballero and Pride, 1984, found that more attractive models in advertising resulted in higher male response rates. So they sent out things with attractive models or no models or unattractive models, and they had higher male response rates. People mailed back in with the attractive model ones more so than the others. Kahle and Homer, 1985, found that more attractive models resulted in more positive attitudes toward the product and a greater willingness to buy the product. Petroshius and Crocker, 1989, found pretty much the same thing, found that more attractive models in advertising resulted in greater willingness of a consumer to buy. Kamins, 1990, found the effect in print advertising and shows an increase in advertiser believability. So people basically believed that the ads with more attractive models in them were more legit. The product was more legit. Brumbaugh, 1993, found that perceived personality characteristics of the model may act as a mediating factor of the model's attractiveness and influence the sale of a product. So if you think that person has a good or trustworthy personality based on their appearance, then you might be more likely to buy that product. Now, this is just research from over 1 decade. But the evidence is pretty damn overwhelming that attractive people, and particularly attractive women, help sell your product. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens if attractive female models are no longer utilized in advertising and marketing strategies. And in my opinion, it's a slippery slope, right? Where do you end, if not with catastrophe? I mean, in my opinion, nobody should be able to tell a person what they can or cannot do with their own body. The grid girls, walk-on girls, whatever, seem to be damaging nothing but egos by electing to use their bodies, their attractiveness, to make money. And I think it's the attractiveness part that hangs people up, because laborers on a construction site do the exact same thing, just in a different way, right? They use their body to make money, but nobody cries objectification over that. In my opinion, it is their choice, and no one has any right to tell them whatsoever that it's wrong. You know? In the end, I think people should really ask themselves this question. If you could get paid for being attractive, maintaining that level of attractiveness, and putting on a cute outfit with some company's logo emblazoned across it, why would you not if it interested you? At least as a side gig, right? This is a source of income. It's a job. And these people are choosing to utilize a quality that they have to make money off of it. And most of them seem to enjoy it. I mean, to me, it seems like an argument of morality versus pragmatism overall, and a debate on the individual rights of a person being infringed by a nebulous, collectivist kind of greater good. And I can understand the argument, but it completely and totally stomps on individual rights. Now, on the flip side, the companies do have the right to either maintain that position or not maintain that position, but their reasoning for doing it, to be politically correct and to subscribe to the social landscape of the time, so to speak, I think is wrong. And I think they're selling out. But I kind of hope this discussion sheds some light on how some people view these types of feminist ideals, and has kind of influenced some people to look at how some of their own ideas might stomp all over the individual rights of other people. I went ahead and threw sources down in the description. For the studies in particular, some of them may be behind paywalls. Hopefully you can access most of them if you feel like it. If not, I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. As always, whether or not you loved or despised the video, leave a comment, upvote, downvote, subscribe, name your firstborn child after me, whatever your little heart desires. And I'll see you all next week for some more random bullshit. Thanks for watching. I love each and every one of you filthy animals.